So, that kind of real change, is why you all are here today, why we're all here. Because we are, in a sense, recognizing and reaffirming a commitment to raise the floor. What's that floor look like? You've already heard some of the statistics. I don't need to tell you that, but that floor looks like this, that we're still struggling to get in states and cities all across this country, 5 paid sick days, 5 lousy paid sick days for, people working in small businesses, for all of the women out there with children who are already working in low-paid jobs, who now, don't have the luxury of being able to stay home with a child when that child is sick. Because if they do, they are going to lose a day's pay, which in this economy, they can hardly afford. That we, the richest nation that has ever existed on the face of the earth, the nation that can, has more ways of killing people, more kinds of bombs, drones, planes, you names, than anybody can imagine. It's called, we have made, I want to call it, a huge industry out of the business of killing people. That we are still a nation that has so little regard for what is happening, on the ground to our own people is unacceptable. That we are still, fighting for 5 lousy paid sick days. This is ridiculous. We should be mad as hell all the time. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that in this society we have almost come to accept the rape as one of those things that's just, an inevitable product of living here. My young sister who wrote that essay, bravo to you. It is so unacceptable. So unacceptable that the idea, the normalization of it, that we, often, in fact, it's interesting. I assign a particular piece for my students to read every semester, which is about a particular case involving rape. Because what I know is that, people use this term, but it fails to really resonate. It doesn't really impact, she was raped. Oh, she was raped. It doesn't begin to talk about the horror, doesn't begin to talk about the pain, doesn't begin to talk about the fear, doesn't really, really, really get at the ways in which you were made to feel degraded and less and low, and then how brave you have to be to go and say, I refuse to be silenced about this. How brave you have to be to go and stand in a court and relive what was perhaps the worst experience of your entire life. No, we have work to do. We need to find, I call it, our righteous rage and keep it stoked. We need to be real about the fact that we women, so much of what we do is just put down to being women's work, and therefore of little value in this world. That's part of the reason why we are still paid less. It is part of the reason why we don't have universal affordable child care in this country, because there is this assumption that there's always going to be some woman to do it. What, not you? Well, then your mother. What, not her? Then someone else. Oh, and or that we will then end up in exploitive situations where we're looking at the most recent arrivals in this country, and sometimes the most vulnerable females in this country, to take on the jobs of taking care of our children, for less than they deserve to be paid, because that's the best we can do. And so they make us complicit in, I want to call it, the oppression of other women. Something is wrong here, but yet we can always find the money for other things. It's fascinating how, it's called when the economy is booming and so many of these issues have been put forward, nobody moved. Now that the economy has not been booming, when, the heart's been a little sluggish, when there's unemployment, now everybody's telling us how, well, we just can't afford to do it. We can't afford not to do it. We have to really make the decision that we come first, that our issues aren't secondary. They can't be sidetracked, that they have to matter in good times and bad times, and that we have to have these changes, these essential changes to our laws now, not tomorrow, not for the next generation to work out, not in some great, kumbaya moment. What was it? One of your representatives talked about how we have to be nice, kind. I believe in being kind. I believe in being kind of mad. I believe in being kind of, I believe in being kind of fed up. I believe in being kind of sick and tired, okay? And sick of being sick and tired. Do you know what I mean? I believe in kind of, saying, look, enough is enough. And standing up for women, standing up for children, standing up for people who have been locked out and kept down and denied. That we have to be kind of done with in this world. We're here. 40 years, the struggle continues. The struggle, and I'm getting older. Getting old, knees kicking up. How you kind of have to shake the legs sometimes, and sometimes they don't want to shake back. I mean, hey, it's not like, I'm saying to you, well, it's like it's going to be all done. I figure as long as I'm out here kicking, bad knees or not, I'm going to be kinda mad, kinda done, kinda over, kinda, ready to say, today is the day that we make another stride forward for women. Today is the day that we affirm what we are, that we hold half the sky, that we take on more than our share of work, that our sisters all over this planet are in danger, that, women are killed because of our gender, that we are, stalked because of our gender, that we are starved and mutilated and sold because we are women. And I am kind of sick of it myself. I don't know about you. So, coming to Connecticut. What can I tell you? One of our essay winners was talking about this idea of, being female and, the way we have to work with each other now. The only point of disagreement is it's important sometimes that we fight. We need to fight. We just need to fight fair. As in, don't let's go around, and talk about it afterwards. Come to my face and say, girl, I disagree with you. Because in the conflict comes resolution. But you can't have resolution. You don't get change if we don't come out openly and declare who we are and what matters. Yes. And so, I declare, I'm an African American woman. I am a woman who knows there are two truths in this world, one of which is that this country's convoluted racial history continues to blight us, and that we are still way in need in the sesquicentennial of the Civil War of a real conversation about what race means and continues to mean. And that does not mean that I'm mad at the white folks. Let me just say, I'm not mad at y'all. You know what I mean? It's not about that. We were not alive then